Forward. Awesome. Cool. Hey everyone, my name is Rachel and I work in the campus recruiting team here at Atlassian. It's so awesome to be able to meet you, virtual, but also I can see that there's a group of you as well who are getting to hang out in person. So that's great that you're able to do that. And so we're really excited to be presenting to you today. We have two amazing talks that I personally am really excited to hear. And also we'll be doing a Ask Me Anything after the talks as well. Does anyone from SecSoc want to say anything? I'm not sure if we're all good to start. Cool. Okay. Well, maybe then we can just get started. And I think Jodie, you're up first. Would you like to share your screen?
Yeah, no problem. Just 1 second.
Yeah. No worries. I'll also pop a link to a Slido in the chat. And if you have any questions at all during the talk that pop up, feel free to pop your questions in there. We can go through those at the end. But yeah, Jodie, you can take it away when you're ready.
Thank you, Rachel. I just want to confirm you can all see my screen and the presentation. Yep, perfect.
Yeah.
I see thumbs up. Well, thank you, Rachel, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm super excited to be here with you all today talking about, I guess, women in security and my journey into this industry. So thank you. And actually, I was at UNSW last week, so it's actually kind of nice to be speaking with you all again so soon. So as Rachel said, my name is Jodie VLASSIS, and I am currently working in the Trust and Security team here at Atlassian, based in Sydney. So we all, as mentioned, so we all know the anxiety and stress that you are probably all going through trying to find internships and graduate roles. So today I will be presenting on hopefully some valuable information for you all to take away, whether it's stepping into a career in security, hopefully discussing some tips and tricks with you all to hopefully get your foot in the door, and my journey into the tech world and cybersecurity. So a little bit about me, just to sort of bit of the get to know you. So I grew up, born and raised in Sydney, but there was actually a period of time where I was actually in Melbourne. So Melbourne actually holds quite a soft spot in my heart. I stayed in Melbourne for a few years, and it was only until when Atlassian poached me, I moved back to Sydney. My background actually, so before even remotely working in security or cyber for that matter, I was actually an ex-professional dancer. During my university career, I actually worked at IKEA. So anyone that knows me that works at IKEA with me can all tell you that I can actually put anything together without a user manual, because that's how good I am. I also grew up riding horses pretty much my whole life. Before COVID, travel and music is a huge part of my life. Unfortunately, I think COVID ruined a lot of travel plans for most people. But hopefully once things calm down and, we're all able to go back to traveling normally, Europe is my next destination. Fun fact, I'm a twin sister, so I'm actually a twin. You can see in the top left corner, you can see my twin sister. We're not identical. And I also have an older brother who also works in cybersecurity as well. I'm a big meme enthusiast, as I'm sure you all are, so you'll probably see a couple of memes pop up throughout my presentation. Popular opinion, hopefully, I think dogs are better than cats. No offense to cat lovers, but I am much more of a dog person. And maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think pineapple definitely belongs on pizza. So if you ever want to have a debate about that, I'm all up for it. So my journey so far into cyber. So I actually was introduced to anything remotely security related at the tender age of around 12 to 13 years old. So my first exposure was actually watching my brother programming a very long time ago, without giving my age away too much. And, I used to watch him and I'd say, oh my God, that kind of looks cool. I want to learn how to do that as well. And then as life progressed on, I chose to go down a different route in life in terms of career, and I actually wanted to be a police officer. So off I went to uni and then slowly realized that policing wasn't going to be my be all end all in terms of my career. So a couple of pivots along the way, and 8.5 years later and 3 degrees under my belt, I now work in cybersecurity. So the latest degree, well, the last degree that I studied was actually a master's of policing intelligence and counterterrorism, specializing in intelligence and cybersecurity. Since finishing all my university studies, my tenure in the industry is roughly around 5 years, and I currently hold 2 credentials. I actually joined Atlassian 12.2 months ago now. So my anniversary was actually in February. So that was just a few weeks ago. And let me tell you, I continue to learn something new every day here. Even though I've been here for over a year, there's always something new to learn here at Atlassian. So I started actually as a graduate. So prior to joining Atlassian, I actually came from Big Four. So I came from working at Deloitte. Some of you may know who Deloitte are. They're a Big Four professional consulting firm. So this is where I sort of kickstarted my journey working as a graduate, like most of you will mostly become when you leave university as well. I also worked at Deloitte in their cybersecurity firm, actually in Melbourne, which is the reason why I was living in Melbourne. From there, I actually gradually progressed working up into a manager position, and then I progressed over to Atlassian. So at Deloitte, I was actually delivering and uplifting cybersecurity needs for my clients. A lot of the work that I did was a bit of an intersection between IT, business, and risk, and I was able to successfully implement strategies, roadmaps, create operating business models, assess current state of cybersecurity postures for organizations and for clients, and help develop governance policy and standards for my clients. I guess some of my favorite pastimes. I was very fortunate to be part of our incident response teams at Deloitte. So we have managed services where we can actually respond to incidents. It's actually called the Cyber Intelligence Center. And through this, it's an end-to-end managed service that we offer to clients. So I do have a couple of very interesting incident response stories that I'm more than happy to share with you offline another time. Also, another favorite pastime is just learning and understanding risk through uncertainty. Every day was always different, is always different working in the cybersecurity industry. So no day is ever the same. And lastly, most importantly, I think, is actually being a grad. Some of the most fondest memories that I've had working in this industry was when I started out as a grad. So, I have many stories that I'd be happy to share with you offline. So here at Atlassian, just to give you a brief background as to what I do here. So I work in a team called the Trust and Security team. So what does that mean? As a team, we remove security issues and blockers with customers so that they can become a new customer, continue being a customer, and become a bigger customer at Atlassian. The easiest way to sort of explain this is that we're essentially a small cybersecurity subject matter expert, or SME team, that sit between the customer and the security team. So when a customer wants to acquire a specific product, or they want to acquire the whole Atlassian cloud suite, they'll primarily work with a number of our support teams. And some of the questions that our customers will ask will be security specific. So those support teams, or what we like to call the field operations team, they will usually reach out to our team, and we can address certain issues that might relate to encryption, for example, data residency, privacy, and so forth. So I'd like to pose this question out, and I would like for you all to sort of have a think about this throughout today's presentation, not only mine, but as well as our panelists and Suray's presentation as well, is what does security and trust mean to you all? So Adrian Ludwig, who is our Chief Information Security Officer here at Atlassian. So Adrian's actually based in San Francisco. The way that we look at trust and security is that here at Atlassian, we will be a leader in cloud security, and we will exceed all requirements for all industry standards and certifications, and be proud to publish details about how we protect customer data. The reason why I want to share this with you all is that I want you all to start thinking that, I think gone are the days where organizations were very particular in what they share with customers in terms of security. And I think certain events, for example, the Snowden example, has really sort of highlighted how the importance of organizations building trust and transparency through security. And you'll find as you move into industry, whether it's in professional services or the tech industry or market itself, you'll identify and see certain ways how different companies really show and exude how certain organizations do security. And I think you'll also note as well that, a lot of consumers and a lot of customers, I guess, are starting to become a little bit more aware, and what I like to call woke, in a sense that, customer data is incredibly important in this day and age. And you'll probably find, a lot of people are asking more and more questions about, how one's data is being protected and whatnot. So here at Atlassian, we're super transparent about how we do security, and we are very open to sharing our practices with our customers. So in terms of careers, for example, I'm hoping I would like to sort of share a bit of an explanation and hopefully give a bit of light and potentially different career examples that you all might be thinking about. And, I often do get asked a lot, I'm studying X university degree and I'm doing this certification. What type of role can I get into? And it's like, well, it could be anything really. And it's just really, we'll get into that a little bit later into the presentation. But I guess here at Atlassian, I just wanted to show you the security org chart if you are interested in wanting to pursue a career in the security team here at Atlassian. So as a quick explanation of each team and just how the layout of the teams that sit in the organization. We currently have, to date, I believe, over 140 strong security personnel that sit globally, primarily in Australia, in the US, and we're slowly building up our capability in Amsterdam in Europe as well. So to start with, we have the security awareness team. So they deliver risk-driven security training and influencing security culture in order to minimize risky behaviors and decisions that affect Atlassian's company and products. We also have corporate security. They primarily look after and protect Atlassian corporate resources. So things like our laptops and our monitors and our network access and things like that. We have ecosystem security. This team is actually somewhat of a fairly newish, it's been around for a small number of years now, but it's actually a really exciting team that's like just growing exponentially at the moment. So the ecosystem security team primarily look after and secure the Atlassian marketplace. If you're not aware of the Atlassian marketplace, I'd highly recommend researching marketplace. So they look after the Atlassian marketplace and all the apps and features that are featured on our products, like Jira and Confluence, for example. We have product security team. So they ensure that all Atlassian products are basically secure by fixing and disclosing security vulnerabilities. We have the red team. This is kind of a really interesting and cool team to be a part of in any organization. just to give you a brief idea of what the red team is. So you may have heard the terminology red team, blue team, and purple teaming in the industry. So the red team is primarily the offensive team, and the red teaming is the offensive. So they generally are hired to somewhat attack a certain infrastructure or a platform. And then what they do is they execute specific operations to illuminate the true state of security. So we have a specific team that actually attack our infrastructure. And what we do is we take that information and knowledge and we use that to improve our overall security. So they normally do a bit of incognito reconnaissance exercises, and you generally never get to see them, but they're actually a pretty, really, really nice team to work with. We have the security development team, and they usually build security services and tools for Atlassian. We have the security intelligence team, and they detect and respond to any malicious activity to our network. We have the trust and security team, which I previously mentioned. And then lastly, we have security SRE, and they support the teams through service and infrastructure reliability and engineering. The last team that you probably can see on the org chart is noted as program management. And the reason why I've noted this team here is they're actually an offshoot in the organization. And the reason why I wanted to stress this team in particular is that you don't necessarily need to have a super technical background to work in security. And I think program management team is a very good example of being able to work in security or being able to work in cybersecurity and not having the need to have a super technical background. And what this team does is they collaborate super effectively across the organizations to help drive certain programs and big projects across the organization and bring in the right teams to be able to effectively execute these programs and projects across the org. So having all said that, with my personal journey and my career journey into cybersecurity, I think what I really want, hopefully, and this is, I do quite a number of speaking events, and I do mentor a few mentees as well. And this is something that was really stressed to me when I first started working in the cybersecurity world. Is you really want to find what you're passionate about. But having said that, the best piece of information that I could really give to anyone is really find that work-life balance. You really don't want your work to overwhelm you and to suffocate you to the point where your output is being affected by the things that are happening around you. So what's most important is really identifying the kind of work and where you want to work. And it's not just about having the technical background, being able to do the job. It's having the right mindset and having the right attitude and having the right pathway in getting to where you need to be. And there's so many different elements in your life that you need to make sure that are right in order for you to get to that next step into your career. So I generally like to sort of compartmentalize and really sort of identify and figure out what's most important to me, and then try and figure out a way of how to incorporate that into my work. And you find a lot of companies, and I think COVID's really somewhat in a bittersweet way has highlighted the importance of having that balanced lifestyle between work and life, and really finding what's most important to you. So having said that, I thought I would provide some tips and tricks to you all, and hopefully give you some key takeaways from my presentation. So applying for roles. So for me, I generally provide a couple, probably the two biggest things is really work on your resume. There's a lot of amazing resume builders out there, and I've sort of noted one just there for you, only because I've used it myself. These resume builders really help outlay all your key strengths and all your attributes to really hopefully showcase you for the role that you're applying for. Also, I stress this to everyone, update your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I highly recommend getting one, because this is your storefront. You are a walking brand and you want to showcase yourself the best way possible. And LinkedIn is one of those really important tools to have. I guess when you're applying for roles, I would personally apply for as many graduate and cadet roles as possible. And the reason for this is this will enable you to get a taste in all areas of the business and help you find what your true passions are. And sometimes when we all go through our university careers, we believe that you have this idea of what it is that you want to do, and whether it's become a developer or a coder or someone that writes in policy. My advice is to have a completely open mind and try various areas of cyber and technology, because you might actually surprise yourself that, it might take you down a completely different path. Secondly is find a really good mentor, or you could have two. I actually have three. I'm very fortunate to have three go-to people that I can go to for absolutely anything. Just ask. Don't be afraid. If the worst thing that could happen is someone will say no to you, and it's not because of you, it's just because they don't have the capacity to be able to help you. But I can guarantee you that there are so many people in this industry that are willing to help you get where you need to be. Know your strengths. So a career, I guess, in technology and security is actually a really exciting one, but unfortunately it's one that most people would often shy away from. And the reasons could be because you're not qualified enough, or you're not smart enough. This thing called imposter syndrome, where you sort of self-sabotage yourself into thinking that you're not good enough for the role. And I would recommend a career in cybersecurity or technology to absolutely anyone who is interested and really wanting to make a difference, wanting to push the status quo and really, provide insight and knowledge that you might be able to potentially change the way an organization does security. I feel like cybersecurity, like many industries, the biggest cyber challenge companies are facing is resources and headcount. It's paramount that companies look to bolster these types of skills and training in the workplace, and qualified and credentialed security professionals are really few and far between. So sort of facilitating and enticing a workforce that can work for any city, for example, or regional city anywhere around in Australia is actually a key foundation element for Australia's future in cybersecurity. And I think it's actually really important, and it's imperative that you are all enticed and passionate about working in the security world to bridge this gap that we are currently facing. And it's amazing that you all being here and soon to be graduates of STEM, you should all consider this as a career choice, because there's an absolute abundance of opportunity out there for all you to be a part of. I think the last three things that I would like to sort of really stress to you all is that really know your worth, and it is totally okay to say no. I remember when I was applying for a number of roles, and you may get one offer, you may get 10 offers. Don't jump at the first opportunity. Really think hard about where it is that you want to go, and where you want to work and who you actually want to work for, because the workplace and culture is so important, just as important as actually doing the work itself. Network and put yourself out there. So the reason why I guess I actually got a job at Atlassian was purely for the sheer fact that I went to a specific event and Atlassian Security had a booth there, and it was because I actually went up and said hello and introduced myself. 3 months later, I was poached and offered a job. So you never know where these opportunities are going to come. So really take any opportunity to go and network and really put yourself out there. And last thing I tell everyone is don't give up. I know that I needed to hear this when I was at university sometimes. And for anyone in uni, whether you're male, female, non-binary or whatnot, I want you to all continue to learn how to break that glass ceiling, because it's so important that we really uplift and close the gap on hiring marginalized and underrepresented groups in our industry. Last thing as well, rejection is actually a good thing. Don't take it personally if you don't get offered a job. It just means that there is something that's way bigger and way better for you out there, and that there is an organization that's just waiting for someone like you to apply for that specific role. So it's not you, it's not personal. It just means that there's something that's bigger and better for you out there. So I know we have questions later on, but I just want to say thank you so much. If anyone would like to communicate with me or reach out to me and I have any questions whatsoever, I'm on LinkedIn. I'd be more than happy to help any of you answer any of your questions. So thank you so much and good luck.
Cool. Thank you so much, Jodie. That was awesome. So yeah, we're lucky enough to have another amazing talk. Sarah, do you want to share your screen?
Yes, just give me a second. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hey, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Sarah, and I'm Senior Product Security Engineer at Atlassian. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit about the gender imbalance in cyber, and specifically cybersecurity, and just give you some tips and tricks on how to get into cybersecurity, especially application security, which is my field. So a little bit of myself in the beginning, and then talk a little bit about women in tech and why there is an imbalance in technology between men and women, and also talk about specifically women in security, and then talk about cybersecurity itself, what is cybersecurity, and how to start in application security or product security in Atlassian. I started my journey in IT basically from undergrad study that I had. So I studied software engineering degree and finished in 2005. I'm pretty old. So when I finished my study, I started at the same time, I started internship as a software developer and worked as a software developer for 2 years. Back then, it wasn't that much of web development. So that was the beginning of web being that much spread around the life, and it was mostly desktop application. But I kind of felt that, you know, it's not what I want. So I like to know more and I like to do more. So I decided to continue my education and do a degree in network security. It was actually kind of luck because I had to select a subject for my master, and I liked security, did a little bit of research, and it was pretty cool to me. So I thought, okay, so let's do cybersecurity and network security for my master's degree. And it was awesome. I learned a lot about concepts, about network security concepts, about network at the beginning, and then the security concepts, coding, cryptography, and all these sort of things in my master's degree. And for my master's research, basically, and the thesis, I worked on an access control model for a distributed network. And that time, those days, we didn't have Alexa or Google Home. So I was basically working on an access control model for these devices that they were not built at that time. So I thought, okay, so I really like this field, but I don't see doing something practical. So what can I do to just do more or be a little bit more into security or probably be more effective? So I really liked cryptography. Thought, okay, so, and I'm very, tech savvy and also like studying. So why not just doing a PhD? And that's the time that I came to Australia. So in 2010, I moved to Australia to do a PhD in cryptography in Macquarie University. So I studied for 4 years and do pure mathematics, pure cryptography research, and working on block ciphers, hash functions, and all these mathematical concepts, and try to break block ciphers. And then when I was finishing my study, I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do with my life? Do I really want to stay at university and do pure research? It is very interesting. It was really interesting field. However, it wasn't really practical. So I didn't see the work that I'm doing change the life of people at the moment. And I really wanted to be effective and do changes. So I thought to myself, probably I'm not going to stay at university, but I know development, I know security, so I can probably just have a rest. And at that time, honestly, I was pregnant with my first kid, so I thought, okay, just gonna go on leave for maternity leave, and then after that, I can start fresh and find a job. So I was on leave for almost 2 years, well, 1 year actually. So when my son was 1 year old, I started looking for opportunities. And honestly, it was very hard because I had all this research background and not really having any industrial experience with security. And I really liked to work in security. I didn't really want to go back to development. So I thought, okay, so application security is the best fit for me, but I have to start learning that myself, because what I knew about security, it was all theoretical and it wasn't really a practical way of doing the things in the industry and in the company. So I started to do research, to learn myself, to educate myself for about a few months, and then went to many interviews myself. And it wasn't that easy. People, when you see you're kind of having research background, they don't really tend to agree that you can do practical things as well. So I had to prove myself. But when I got my first job, I really appreciate my first manager. He really believed in me. And it was a long process of doing coding interviews, doing personal interviews, different interviews with different people, and even values and all these sort of things. And he just put me into Westpac as the first client. And I was in Westpac for about 2 years, and it was really good for me, because it was the first. I had good colleagues. Let's just put that way. So like as Jodie said, everyone's going to help you. So I had very good colleagues, and they really helped me to get onto speed, because the expectation was a bit high from me, maybe because of the background that I had, but I could really get up to the speed very fast. And then moved to Woolworths for about 2 years, and then to Atlassian in June last year. So it was kind of a juggle for me, and I really liked that I did that, because doing research kind of helped me to learn how to do research, basically, and how to think strategically. And this is something that's really was not easy to find out before doing the master and PhD myself. Okay, so what I really understand, especially in Australia, is that we don't really have too many students. When I was at university, I was doing tutoring, and I really didn't see many female students at Macquarie University, for example, in the software development and computing department, basically. And I did research, and it looks in this research showed, which is about kind of 2 years old, I guess, but it's still, I think, accurate, that each year in Australia, over 18,000 students graduate from engineering, and only 18% of those are female. And even Australian Computer Society ran a study, and they found out that in Australia, 27.8% of IT workforce are women. And that's actually true. So even with this growth in IT development, we don't really see lots of women taking the jobs, and it's almost a quarter of those taken by women. And I've talked with a lot of people about this, and the thing that they always come up is that we don't really have enough female candidates, and that's completely true. So if there are not many graduates, we don't have many candidates when doing the interviews anyway. And I like to go a little bit back before the university. I like to look at the high school and even primary school education. So UNSW studied school grades for more than 1.6 million students. And what they found is girls and boys perform similarly in science, technology, engineering, and math. So there is not really a big difference between girls and boys in mathematics. So why we still don't have enough female engineers? On the other hand, education department in Victoria ran another study in literacy and numeracy in 2016, and they found girls tend to rate their own ability in mathematics lower than boys. So even when they perform similarly, they still tend to rate themselves lower. And and when they studied different ages, they kind of found out that boys and girls at year 4 don't really tend to feel different, but when they grow and they get older around year 8, they feel a big gap between the confidence, basically, between boys and girls and how they rate each other themselves. So when the girls grow up and they get more cautious and they become less confident. So why is that? Why we are not really different, and we are not really we are physically different, but we are as intelligent as boy. But what happens when we grow older? We kind of feel that we are not really good at mathematics. I really think the reason is gender bias. So one thing is that's been always there. So always people think that maths is for boys, and boys are better in mathematics and science, and girls probably are better in other work. Let me give you an example. So I really believe that I'm from a open-minded family. But when I was in my country, my home country, Iran, when you're doing high school, you can choose subjects. And I could choose between mathematics and science and biology. So I really like to go into mathematics, and I was the first child in my family, and my parents were kind of against that. And my dad really liked me to do not to go to mathematics and do other sort of science. I was kind of a stubborn child, so I said no. I like mathematics. I want to do mathematics. And even I remember I asked my aunts why everyone's kind of against that. And my aunt said, boys are better in mathematics. And that's exactly what she said. Boys are better in mathematics. And I was like, I'm probably not the best, but I don't think I'm not good enough. So I went to mathematics. I chose maths and went to university for doing software development, and then continue my education in that area. And I remember one day my dad came back to me when I was doing my master's, I think, and he told me, I'm really happy that you didn't listen to me. So see, you have to kind of prove yourself. But again, we can do that. It's just about the self-confidence and these stereotypes and biases around. So we can do that. Definitely. There is no difference like that boys better in maths. It's just a myth to me. And what to do now? So we have a value at Atlassian that I really like it. This value says, be the change you seek. So if you want to change these stereotypes, if you want to change this imbalance at work, you have to do that yourself. So you have to start the change yourself. You shouldn't really wait for this to change. And you shouldn't wait until the organization changes their own policies and then go with that, because if that's the case, you're going to lose your chance. So you have to start the change right now. You have to, if you like doing mathematics, if you like doing IT, well, I think you mostly do because you are in IT anyway, you have to start that from today yourself. So you have to start believing yourself and support each other. When I say support each other, it's not just girls supporting girls. I think everyone needs to support this idea. Boys also and men in workforce, they have to support this. And we are kind of lucky. We are in a time that everyone's supporting this, honestly, and everyone's helping us to have a balanced workforce. So take every opportunity and try to make it fit for you. So, I've seen people just not applying for a job because they think it's not fitting their circumstances, for example, or it's not flexible hours or something like that. So let me tell you something. When I started my first job, I had a 1-year-old baby. and I had to start a full-time job. So I asked my husband to take a day off and stay a day with our son at home so I can start full-time job. And that's what he did. So he stayed at home and I started working. And almost 8 months after, I was actually pregnant with my second baby, and I kind of feel that, you know, I'm losing this time with my son. So I asked my boss, I like to be part-time, to work 4 days a week and stay 1 day with my kid. And he was completely happy and he agreed to that, and everyone was completely supporting me. So, I mean, just take the opportunity and then try to make it fit you, and not just you know, reject everything from the beginning because it doesn't fit you. Sheryl Sanders, Facebook CEO, has a very good quote that I really liked. She says, "We compromise our career goal to make room for partners and children who may not even exist yet." And it's really true. So we sometimes don't do things and don't you know, take opportunities, or even don't start a career because we think it might really take a lot of time from us in future, and we don't really want to do that. We want to be a good mom or a good wife, and these blah blah blah. You can do all of these things at the same time of doing the job that you like. So definitely don't compromise your career goals. Okay, now let's look at women in security. I myself think that cybersecurity is the most male-dominant field in IT, honestly. And, you know, in our team, in Atlassian, like ProdSec team specifically, in Australia, it's just 2 female engineers out of 16 ProdSec engineers. So it's a very low ratio. And when I got employed, I was the first female engineer in the ProdSec. And I remember our US team were kind of cheering that, oh, finally we have our first female engineer in Australia. And, you know, I was thinking, why is that really? And this is my total idea. So I don't think if it's really true, but this is what I think it's true. I think it's a highly sensitive area, and it's really important area in business. And men are most likely to take responsibilities for sensitive jobs. Maybe girls do not feel confident. Maybe it's still a confidence problem. Maybe they are kind of scared of being judged if they make a mistake. And maybe the reason is just the stereotypes. Hackers are always pictured as boys. So we think, okay, it's a boy job. One of our colleagues gave us a example the other day. She was talking about her experience in going in a workshop when she was studying. And she said she went to a workshop and she was the only girl in the room. And when the teacher started talking about man in the middle attack, he turned to her and said, "You know why they call it man in the middle attack? Because only men do hacking, and it's not a girl job." And look, it's not true. And she completely rejected that. And unfortunately, the other boys in the room, they all objected this opinion and they all left the room, and the workshop was canceled. So that's what we should do. We all need to support the idea and just go against that. It's not true. It's not a boy job. It's everyone can do hacking. Everyone can do security. There is no difference between boys and girls, definitely in this area. And believe me, I see a lot of boys and girls around in security, and I see everyone's making mistakes, not just girls, boys, girls, and it's just learning from the mistakes and just try to do the best every time that we do this. Okay, so enough about this. So let's talk a little bit about cybersecurity itself. So as Jodie explained, the different organizations and our org chart in Atlassian, I was just going to talk about the phases and processes basically in cybersecurity. So there are 3 steps in cybersecurity. It's prevention, detection, and response. Prevention basically means how to boost our system, what to do to protect our product. This comes with application security, ethical hacking, penetration testing, network security, cloud security, and firewalls, and all these areas that we have to do to protect our system and our product. The next step is detection. So what if we are under attack? So we have to detect that we are under attack. So there's logging and auditing and scanning of all the logs and going through the logs for the detection process. And it's a huge field itself to detect the time that we are under attack. And then if we detect that we are under attack, we have to respond to that. And that's the time that the incident response team come in action, and they have to respond immediately, try to patch the system and stop the attack or stop the impact, and do malware analysis and all these sort of things after the detection. So it's a huge field and it's a lot to do. I want to talk about application security because this is what I do, but I just wanted to give you an idea, and it's not just about application security and penetration testing. There's a lot to do in security, and it's just you need to find out what do you like the most. So about application security. So what do we want to do in application security? We basically want to protect our system against hacker. For that, we need to think like a hacker. So we have to become a good hacker ourselves to start hacking. So we kind of try to become an ethical hacker. There's a lot of online materials for study, and of course you have a lot of subjects at university as well. But if you want to do some self-training yourself, there's a lot of pen test training, penetration test training websites. I have three examples here. Pen Tester Lab is actually an Australian lab, which is not that expensive. It's like $200 per year, and there's a lot of good materials there and a lot of lab to do penetration tests for application. Attack Defense Online Lab, it's again a lab that you can do penetration testing and try penetration testing in there. It's also involved with a bit of network testing as well. Web Security Academy by Portswagger, it's a free online tool that you can, that's actually by Portswagger, which is if you know Burp Suite, this is a company who created Burp Suite for interception of requests. So Web Security Academy, it's really a good one as well. So definitely try these ones, the penetration testing, and also knowing about application security concepts. OWASP is an open web application security project, open source. Basically, it's a non-profitable organization from all around, from application security specialists all around the world. They gather together and come up with top 10 security vulnerabilities for web applications every year. And there's a lot of good materials in there. There's a lot, honestly, a lot of cheat sheet and a lot of information about different type of vulnerabilities and different protections and coding techniques. And if you like studying a Stanford web security course is really a good one. Honestly, I really like that one. It's got slides and assignments and everything in there, which is a course I think it is. It's in Stanford at the moment too, but that's definitely a good one to look at. And when you know all these, not all of them actually, so when you're starting that, I really suggest take every opportunity. Just as Jodie said again, go into the market, go into the conferences, go into the workshops, just try to be same. So capture the flag competitions. There's a lot of these city of competitions around, and universities have that ones. Even Atlassian has that one. Everywhere has this capture the flag competitions. Definitely try that there. It's fun, and it's a learning opportunity as well. Go to security workshops. Definitely any security workshop around. You will learn something, even if you don't know the subject. Go and try to learn, and also you see other companies, and that's a very good opportunity for you to be seen by other companies who are hiring. Try bounties, bug bounties. Bug bounties are programs that most of companies run. We do have it at Atlassian. So you basically try your pen testing skills, and if you find a bug, you get rewarded for the bug that you find. But it's even cool, so you get money from the testing that you do. And it's not just hacking, because they give you this opportunity to try hack them. And go to web security conferences, or even watch the videos of these different conferences. AppSec California is the very good conference. I really like the talks there. And B-Sides, we have B-Sides in in Canberra in April. That's a good opportunity to see other pen testers and other companies as well. And be in the communities. There is a Reddit community, all things AppSec, which is really a good one to be up to date with all the news in application security and know about what's happening around the world. That's basically this. I really hope I could just help you a little bit about in your journey. Hopefully we're gonna see you in Atlassian. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think we will move into the Q&A portion of the event, and I can see that there's lots of good questions submitted on the Slido. I think Amanda was going to actually moderate the Q&A. Maybe not. Okay. Ooh. You'll step in? Yeah, cool. Thank you. And I know that we've only got 5 minutes to go. We ran a little bit over time, but our presenters are happy to stay on, and this is also going to be recorded. So if you do need to run off to lectures and shoots, that's all good. I think SecSoc will send through a recording and you can watch that as well. But yeah, Kusang, I'll let you take it away then.
All right, I'm guessing the first question has already been asked regarding how many women are on Atlassian's security team. I think that question was already answered, so I will put that away.
I think we answered for our product security team, but overall in security, we have about 34 females across the globe out of a 130 strong security team.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next question, and that's, what is something we can try during uni to see if we would be interested in a career in security if we have no idea what it is at the moment?
I'm happy to just quickly answer this, and I think both Saray and I sort of briefly touched on this during our presentations. There's definitely a lot of free content out there at the moment in terms of learning and testing and training and whatnot. And I know that Saray had quite a lot of links for technical training, but probably the most important one out there at the moment is LinkedIn Learning. I know a lot of people really use LinkedIn Learning, and that's not just, that's not even just for security, just specific to security. There's so many different things that LinkedIn Learning offers, not only just for security, but also for communication, collaboration, leadership, management, things like that as well. So I'd highly recommend having a look at LinkedIn Learning. I think Rachel as well will also provide a number of the links that we've showcased on our presentations today as well.
Awesome. Moving on to the next question. What does your day-to-day job look like?
I'm happy to answer that because I believe I really have a very interesting job actually, because my job is talking to a lot of teams, all the development teams, and I have to be in touch with them. So my day is kind of I'm actually working in the security review project at ProdSec team in Atlassian. So my day kind of starts with looking at the review request from the development team. So we have all this collaboration with the development teams, and they ask for security to review their design. So we have to design their reviews, go through their reviews, and give them recommendations. And sometimes even they come up with their request that they said, okay, we have written this code, but we want security to make sure that this code is actually correct in terms of security and doesn't have any security vulnerabilities. So we have to review the code and sometimes do a little bit of penetration testing ourselves, light penetration testing actually. So it's a lot of involvement, interaction with the teams, and a lot of collaboration inside the team as well, because sometimes you don't have the time to do it yourself. I have to reach out to the other teams, or there is an area that I'm not completely familiar with, or I know another colleague of mine did a review for this sort of review the other day, and so I just reach out to them and ask them for advice on how to, for example, review this API, for example, or the GraphQL API or something like that. So it's a lot of collaboration between the teams, development teams and security team, and just giving advice and reviewing vulnerabilities and sometimes doing a little bit of light pen testing, as I said.
Thank you. Thank you. And moving on to the next question that's on the list. Why did you start as a grad if you already have years of experience? I think this is aimed at you, towards you, Sarah.
Was it Saray or was it myself? Because I'm going to, is it Saray? Was it Saray or was it myself?
I think it was you, Jodie. I think it was to you, Jodie.
No, that's all right, because I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh, that probably was asked around the time. So why did I start as a grad if I already had years of experience? Yeah, really good question. I mean, I didn't have years of experience. I had like a small handful of experience, but you know, from the time of when I started learning how to program and code to when I actually got into the industry was quite a big gap, and things obviously change over time. And I think the biggest thing that was probably stopping, two things. The two big things that were probably stopping me was I felt, and this is my own personal opinion, this isn't reflection on Atlassian or any other company that I've worked for, but for me, when I went to uni, I was a mature age student. I went to uni at 23. And by the time I finished uni, I was probably hitting closer to my 30s. Now, a lot of, in my experience, going through interview processes and the feedback that I had received, you know, a lot of companies do question and do look at your resume and go, that's a pretty big gap. Why did you take time off? And, you know, even though it may look like I know how to code or program, you know, I haven't done that for a very long time. You know, and obviously I took it, like I said, I had mentioned that I had done a lot of pivots over my career, which eventually sort of guided me back into cybersecurity. So not only that, education was a big key part in wanting to get back into cybersecurity. And you know, as you all university students, I was there with you at one point too, and you know, a lot of jobs that are advertised do require, you know, minimum Bachelor of Comp Science or a minimum Bachelor of Engineering, or you know, there is a certain minimum standard that is sometimes required to get into a role. So yeah, there are a lot of varying attributes that that made me want to start as a grad. Also as well, just for me personally, I'm just the kind of person that, you know, I think to start anywhere in an industry, you sort of need to sort of start at the foundation level and sort of work your way up to get to where it is that you'd like to get to. And, you know, it's very rare to sort of come out of uni and sort of go for that pinnacle role. You know, I think anywhere in life we sort of have to work towards that. So I hope that sort of answers that question.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to the next question. How might we change the bias and stereotypes that girls are worse in maths and science? Is it simply with giving girls newer role models?
Yeah, I think this is for me. But yeah, Jodie and Emma, if you have opinion, please jump in, because I think I've already said what I believe. It's true, we have to give role models, but at the same time we have to be the change we seek. So if we are believing that we can do the things, we have to do them. So just start doing the things. Just don't be afraid of not being good at maths, because we all know that we are all smart enough to do the things, and maths and science, and we have a lot of role models actually around at the moment. We have from the senior leaders and leadership like Facebook CEO or Macquarie Group's CEO, which are both women, and all in organizations we have a lot of senior leaders and a lot of engineers that they are women. So I think we have enough people to prove that we can do that. We just have to start being confident and start doing the things ourselves.
Awesome. So now moving on to the question for Jodie. How would you compare working for the Big Four versus Big Tech?
Oh, that's a big question. How would I compare working for Big Four versus Big Tech? So the big difference between, and probably the easiest way to explain it, is that different service offerings. So what does that mean? When you work for Big Four, you're bound by client demands. And what that means is that you are essentially working for someone else. And when I say that, you are so Big Four, so consulting, for example, relies on clients to give us work. So we're selling a service. So selling a service in the respect that we're selling a specific type of work, for example, right? So we're sort of bound by the measures of what client demands are, for example. So we're constantly sort of at the pressures of other people, for example. Whereas working in Big Tech, we're not working in technology. I'm not speaking on behalf of Atlassian, but I think just in general in technology is what we kind of like to call vendor land, right? So we're essentially we're a product as opposed to being a service. So the difference is that people, like, there is no, I guess there's no expectation, or there is no client demands per se. Yes, I understand that there will be sort of an element of customer demand per se, but it's probably not at the same level as what like client demands are in professional services, where professional services are selling a service, technology is selling a product. So there's not as much pressure, if that makes sense. However, having said that, it's much of a muchness, right? We're all selling something but what it is obviously going to be varied. Having said that, both industries are great to work for.
I might add to that a little bit. I wasn't part of the Big Four consultancies, but I was part of a very large one. One of the things that I've noticed since joining Atlassian, this is my first internal style role, is that I get a much more intimate view of what the work is. So if I was balancing incidents, because I come from our detection and response teams, I'm obviously balancing my time across several different customers, whereas here I'm getting to focus on a single thing and getting a much more detailed look at it.
All right, then, moving on to the next question. This is for Sarah. Did you consider doing the academia route when you did your PhD in cryptography? What made you decide to do a PhD and then go into Big Tech?
Yeah, so I definitely consider continue academia and do a postdoc and even lecturing. But as I said in my presentation, I really feel, I wanted to do be an impact on practical life and people's life. And we see the web and basically web apps are our day-to-day life. So I really wanted to do something useful. And this is definitely true. Doing research is useful, but I didn't see the impact imminent. So it wasn't that too soon. So I was working on some designs that probably working complexities from 2 to the power of 200 to 2 to the power of 120, something like that. And it's still unachievable to do it in real life. So I was thinking, okay, so I really enjoy this, but I like to do something that I can see the result right away. So that's why I decided to go to the industry and just, as I said, be in touch with developers and see the impact, see the improvements in products, and see how we can basically build security into the web apps. So that's exactly the reason that I really like to move on from academia and go into this industry.
All right. Thank you for that. And we're going to move, for the interest of time, we're going to skip to 2 last questions. So I'm guessing this is for Emma. Are there any electives/things you wish you learned at uni that would help with your job?
I've actually just gone back to uni because I am now going back to study a grad cert in applied data science. I deal with a lot of data every single day, and being able to actually report on that is quite handy for my job. So I'm doing that at the moment, actually.
Wow, that's amazing. I never thought I'll be going back to school after leaving school. Anyway, moving on to our final question. Is there only one grad Is there only one grad intake throughout the year? For example, all grads start between November to January and cannot start in the mid-year.
I think this might be a question for Rachel, if you're still around, Rachel.
Yeah. Hey, hang on. There you go. My video's on now. Hey, everyone. Yes, so we do generally have one intake throughout the year that begins in January. However, if you do finish mid-year, you can just talk to your recruiter, which would actually coincidentally be me, and we can see if there are any options for you to start earlier. So please still apply. And on that note, actually, just to do a shameless plug, we have intern roles open now on our website, as well as one graduate role in our ProdSec team. So please head on to our website to apply if you are interested.
So that's all our questions. And on behalf of UNESCO Security Society, we would like to thank Atlassian and everyone here, so Rachel, Emma, Jodie, and Sarah, for coming to our hybrid event here today and giving these amazing talks on how women can join security as a career. So we thank you for your time. We thank everyone for attending, and we hope to, I guess, host more events like these in the future, and hopefully something more in person from now on.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to the SecSoc team for hosting and organizing this. It was awesome to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Thank
Good luck
you.
with your studies.